Jai Shri Radhe. In the readings of the 252 disciples of Sri Gosaiji, we are now on Varta 162 on day 178. The story of one renunciate Brahmin from Gujarat. So Vaishnav Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Radhe. Bhav Prakash. He is a devotee of Sattvic disposition. In the eternal Leela, his name is Bhav Nipuna, who is a close Sakhi of Sri Chandravali. She manifests from Madhura and thus personifies her divine loving sentiment. He was born into a Brahmin family in Gujarat. He was of a renounced character, even from childhood. He was 20 when his parents both died and he had not married. He set off for a pilgrimage. The first place he visited was Mathura, and there he met one Vaishnava who was also a renunciate, but was a disciple of Sri Gosaiji. The Brahmin asked him, "O brother, do you know any enlightened saintly person who can free me from the afflictions of birth and death?" The Vaishnava replied, "Oh yes, Sri Gosaiji, Sri Vittalnathji is the one. If you can take shelter in him, all your ignorance will be destroyed, and you will attain great joy. I am a disciple of his, and if you want, you should go to Gokul, and you too can be initiated." The Brahmin replied, "It would be great if you came with me." The two of them set off for Gokul together. The Vaishnava took the Brahmin to see Sri Gosaiji and humbly requested his guru to accept the Brahmin as his disciple. Sri Gosaiji graced him by initiating him with the Lord's name and Brahma Sambandh. Sri Gosaiji then looked at him with his eyes full of loving grace. Part 1. The Brahmin had the realization of the Lord's divine pastimes. He began to understand many hidden teachings. He went to Sri Gosaiji and supplicated, "O Maharaj, please tell me of the method by which I may be free of this world full of grief and enter into the Lord's divine pastimes." Sri Gosaiji spoke, "This is not an easy stage to attain, and it can only come about with Sri Thakurji's grace." For the sake of the upliftment of all the other Vaishnavas present, the renounced Brahmin inquired, "O Maharaj, through your grace, yet that attainment is not too distant. An embodied soul's life can have its purpose fulfilled simply by hearing your nectarian words." Hearing this, Sri Gosaiji taught, in the olden days, if a Vaishnava had even a little time to spare, they would go to the banks of Sri Yamunaji and sit there to sing the Lord's praises. Vaishnavas nowadays do not bother to listen to the Lord's stories or the singing of his praises, but rather gossip about worldly matters. He then recited one verse on this subject. Nunam devena vihataha ye chachuta kada sudham hitva shrunvantya sadgataha puri shanva vibhujaha. Most certainly, those who leave the nectar of the Lord's stories in favour of listening to worldly gossip, which is tantamount to excrement, will be obstructed by bad fortune. He continued, Sri Krishna teaches us in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita ji, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Bhagavad Gita 18:66. Give up all other righteous paths and simply surrender to me. How might this be achieved? The Vaishnava should feel, I have nothing but the Lord. I take resolute shelter in the Lord's lotus feet. In this way alone will all my faults be purified. These worldly ways are completely false. When this type of knowledge and sentiment arise, then the devotee will easily attain the elevated status of a servant of the Lord. When a Vaishnava thus becomes accomplished and upholds the path to Seva, to the beloveds, then the world, etc., cannot hinder their devotion. This is because the beloveds themselves see that this soul is intent of my seva, and then they grant that soul the supreme reward, which is their direct seva. When a soul has in their heart of hearts the divine loving mood of the Vraja devotees, the gopis, then they will be accepted by the beloveds and totally liberated from worldly attachments and wranglings. They regard Shri Govardhanaji as their all in all and give up every other attachment. Then they will hear the stories of the Lord, the notes of the Lord's flute. These are the characteristics of an accomplished Vaishnava who has attained the conscious awareness of the beloved's divine play. The buds of their divine reward blossom, and their devotion bears fruit. They experience horripilation and feel great joy in their heart and mind. Their speech is like a shower of nectar. This is the nature of the righteous path of a Bhagavadiya, accomplished Vaishnava. They dedicate their whole lives to attaining the Lord and in the service of other accomplished Vaishnavas. All of this will come once in their devotional Vaishnava life, although it is a constant norm between Sri Thakurji and the gopis. Therefore, a Bhagavadiya Vaishnav should live their life in this very way. A Vaishnava should carefully protect three main things: Vivek, Dhairya, and Ashray. Discrimination, perseverance, and surrender. They should always strive towards these. First, Vivek. Sri Acharyaji has instructed that everything the Lord does is good. One should have total faith in this concept. When this stage is reached, then the devotee has no need at all to pray to the Lord for anything. They know that when the Lord so desires, he will grant everything necessary. The Bhagavadiya Vaishnava never asks the Lord for anything. In their mind they have one single perfect certainty. The Lord knows everything. There is no point in praying. The Lord has already granted all my prayers perfectly. The embodied soul does not even know their own mind, nor what is what. They cannot know their unseen future or what is written in their fate. How can they then possibly know what the Lord has so rightly planned for them? Therefore they should never pray for anything at all. They should think, whatever Sri Govardhanaji has decided for me, then that is how it will be. He can only do what is best for me in every way. Sri Gosaiji continued to instruct that renounced Brahmin. An embodied soul must never harbour any pride. They should never think, I have done this or this seva, but the Lord has not done what I wanted him to do. He does as he pleased, and I am troubling myself to do this seva. So what to do? I shall just sit and do nothing. If an embodied soul thinks in this way and just lies around, then how can any of their actions ever have any good effect? Therefore the embodied soul should never behave like this. A Vaishnava should act according to the Guru's instructions. They should never ignore their Guru's orders. It is a massive offence to go against the Guru's teaching. A servant should always act according to their master's wish and depend on them. When a soul dedicates themselves through the act of Brahmasambandh, then they also dedicate their children, spouse, home and wealth, etc. What is then left of which they can become proud? Accept that whatever the Lord does is the best, and be convinced of this. They should also consider, I am in the beloved Seva, and therefore my one righteous path is to serve them. Along with this, one should tolerate all three types of grief. In this way, those who have achieved such discriminating wisdom and patient tolerance should never need to make prayerful supplication. Some might ask, does this mean I should not even ask to be able to have the holy sight of the beloved's Lord's face? Well, it is the main aim of a Bhagavadiya's life to be able to see their beloved's lotus face. To this aim, one should not just sit back and wait for it to happen, but get up and make some constructive effort towards this goal. In what way do the beloveds then accept the devotee's seva? They do accept the seva of those who humbly serve at home, and also of those who strive to come near to them. It is not possible to analyse their behaviour and will, so the main lesson here is to serve them and not worry about anything else at all, and never be lazy in such seva. After this, Sri Gosaiji taught a principle from Sri Acharyaji's Antakarana Prabodha, treatise, Consolation for my innermost heart, that in a devotional soul whose divine surrender is perfected, no more impurities arise. Sri Acharyaji also revealed through his own nectarian speech, I did not comply with Srinathji's first two instructions to leave the earth and go back to him. And I did not regret having done this, because I was fully confident that since I was his servant and had surrendered my all and everything to him, then there was no cause for worry of any type. He further commented on this. If one has much affection and attachment for one's body, and thus not too careful in their seva, then the Lord will certainly be displeased. There is an example given here. If a young married woman is kept at home by her parents due to excessive affection for her, and not sent to her husband, then the husband will be displeased. If the girl were sent to his home, then the husband would be satisfied. In this manner, one should regard one's body as a vessel of the Lord's seva, and take care of it for this reason only, and then the Lord will be happily satisfied. These were the instructions of Sri Gosaiji that Sri Gosaiji gave to the renunciate Vaishnava. He was very blissed and blessed to be able to hear such nectarian lessons. Sri Gosaiji then went to sit in his batak. The renunciate Vaishnava then had the holy sight of Sri Navneet Priyaji and the rest of the seven Swarupas, and then returned to Sri Gosaiji's side and bowed down to him. Sri Gosaiji inquired of him, O Vaishnava, did you have the holy sight of Sri Navneet Priyaji? He replied that, with his blessings, yes, he had the holy sight of Sri Navneet Priyaji and the rest of the seven Swarupas. How can a tongue ever hope to adequately describe them? But, O Maharaj, I would love to hear from you of each one of their particular mood and character. So we're pausing here until tomorrow, and tomorrow we will hear of the character of the 7 Swarupas. Aaj ke Anand ki jai ho. Sab Vaishnavan ko Jai Shri Krishna, Sanamra, Saprem, Sadar. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.